times, do you know how many times you've been to the Cambridge Festival? I mean, you must have a million memories. Is there any that you can highlight on that you were just like, that was an incredible moment?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been a lot of times as a punter and everything, and it's actually 10 years since we started doing it for the TV and the radio next year, which is great because it's the 50th anniversary. So, you know, it is incredible. I've seen so many amazing things here down the years. You know, I've seen kind of things that I would never see anywhere else. I remember the big gypsy orchestra called Tarafti Haiduks, who were just incredible. There was like about 30 of them, and they were playing, what do you call it? I think it's called a cymbalin. Where it's like you're hitting the piano, so like a kind of hammer dulcimer thing. And there were loads of it, and they set it all up backstage and played all this stuff, and then they set it all up on stage and played all this stuff, and then they set up again backstage, just played all this stuff. It seemed to me you were tapping into just a kind of itinerant life of music there. That was good. And on the other hand, the things I remember are people who I grew up with who have seen it, people who are kind of real legends to me. Someone like Ralph McTell, you know, whose music, you know. Streets of London and From Clare to Here, and there's a beautiful song of his that I love called Barges. And in fact, I think he's a bit undervalued still, not here, but like we've sort of revered the Americans like James Taylor and people, quite rightly so. And Ralph McTell was a kind of the English version of that, really. And when I was growing up, I'm 55 now, and when I was growing up, all the girls loved Ralph McTell. All the girls fancied Ralph McTell and his denim shirt with this kind of scruffy hair. And I remember seeing him doing From Clare to Here on this stage, you know, and everybody knew all the words, everybody was listening, everybody, just one man and a microphone and 10,000 people, and you think that's a real special communication between the artist and the audience, you know, which I'm not sure. Perhaps you do get it at rock and roll festivals. I'm not sure, but there is a very particular kind of way of listening at a folk festival. They hang on every word and So.
I think that's what, I mean, we've been interviewing a lot of the festival goers and just kind of getting a good scope, and some have been coming sort of 30 years, someone's 40 years, incredible. And the general feedback that everyone was saying was that the festival hasn't changed that much in terms of the size. You know, everyone knows where tent 1 is, everyone knows where tent 2 is, everyone knows where the campsite is, and it's just this really familiar, I mean, I always think of the folk world as being a bit of a bubble as well. Like, the people in it are so passionate and so dedicated to every musician, and even if you go to the Den, where, you know, it's maybe a 14-year-old just strumming the guitar, and yet everyone's just sitting there listening, and it's just so lovely to see. And it's a different world, it's a different bubble. It's really, really lovely seeing these, as you said, world-class musicians. So can you name drop a few others? And we saw the Mavericks last night. Oh, right.
So what, highlights from this year? Yeah, well, I mean, talking about legends, you know, I mean, Steel Eye Span were amazing yesterday. I thought they were incredible, and Maddie Pryor was on such great form. And this is kind of what I talk about the atmosphere of the festival. After I watched Steel Eye Span, and I chatted a bit to Maddie backstage, I thought Steel Eye sounded great, and the new stuff sounded great. And I said, I'm going over to the Den now to watch the Ballina Whalers, which is 3 young lads who are doing shanty singing, you know, and I wanted to see them. We did a little bit with them, and Maddie said, well, I'll come and see them with you. So she came over there and watched them in the Den, and they did a song called Grey Funnel Line, which they said the version they'd been inspired of. There was an album by the Silly Sisters, which was Maddie Pryor and June Tabor. And so it kind of feeds round, and she loved the fact that someone new had heard that and was moving it on to the next thing. And so you're right, the location, because of the park, it can't get any bigger. Yeah. You know, they can't let any more people in here. And so it retains that sort of intimacy. I always think this is the perfect size for a festival, because it is intimate, and you know everything isn't it small, but it's not so small that it doesn't feel like a big event. It does feel like a big event. If you stand on that main stage when that arena is packed, it feels like a big deal. So, I love Steel. I've got my book to remember who I've seen, because my memory is so terrible. And Heidi Talbot sounded just lovely just there before. Absolutely divine. And I always like the Thursday night thing. Lucy Rose sounded great. She had such a great band with her. I like the Thursday night because the main stage hasn't kicked off and people are still arriving. So if you're here for Thursday, you feel you're kind of stealing an extra night. Do you know what I mean? And it's like extra secret time. So I like that. And also, Larkin Poe have been one of the hits of this weekend. I saw them I saw them twice. I saw them in the club tent on Thursday night, and it's like, you walk around the club tent, you hear this deep down gutsy blues guitar, and you think, if you close your eyes and you open, you think it's going to be someone who looks like one of the hairy bikers playing that, and it's this beautiful, sort of slippered American girl with her silver bobbed hair, like she's auditioning for a part in Doctor Who or something. And I thought they were incredible. And my friend Blair Dunlop was on there, and Greg Russell and Kieran Olger, who run the Radio 2 Young Folk Award. Makes me feel old because Greg Russell, his dad was in a band with me for years, and so it's now my mate's kids who are kind of getting main stage slots. So that was good. Bellowhead never disappoint, do they? And LAPD, I mean, those guys, people like Donald Lunny and Andy Irvine, I mean, a lot of this is because, I mean, you've got your Steel Ice Band and Martin Carthy and Dave Swarbrick are here today. It's Steel Ice Band and Fairport Convention, I mean, those guys changed the face of British folk and made British folk rock, really. But a lot of those guys were inspired by Donald Lunny and Andy Irvine, who were making really amazing sort of traditional Irish records, but moving it on with Planxty and Christy Moore and that. I think they had a profound influence on the whole landscape of folk music, really. So it was great to see them here.
And I think, touching on what you've said, keeping the roots of folk, I think what's nice about the festival, again, is because it has, kept that size and never expanded, is that people can come on stage one with just a violin or a guitar, and everyone's just so encaptured by it. And it's nice, so you can retain those roots of folk the whole time. You never need to have massive bands all the time or expand on that and make it commercial. You can just keep those real, someone was singing Gaelic, yesterday, I think it was, and I was like, that's beautiful. No one really knows what they're saying. And I'm Scottish and I have no idea what they're saying, but it was amazing and everyone was just encaptured by it.
It's the variety, really, I think, isn't it? The variety. And you see something, like that Tariff de Haiduk, or see a diatonic accordionist from the Basque Country, you think, well, I would never have come across that, really. And it's amazing with the sun on your back and a pint in your hand, and it's just an amazing, and it's just that variety that's wonderful.